Admiral Sun stood before the massive display screen on the orbital command station horizon. The images in front of her showed burning buildings, destroyed ships, and empty streets covered in ash. 3 days had passed since the attack on 7. 3 days since 12,000 human colonists died without warning. She had watched the footage 17 times now. Each time she noticed something new. A child's toy floating in the wreckage, a family transport cut in half by plasma fire, an old man standing alone on a rooftop, looking up at the sky as death came down. They had given no warning. They simply arrived and started killing. "Admiral," a voice said behind her, "the council is ready for your report." And to face Captain Park Jin-ho. He was younger than her by 16 years, but his eyes looked old today. Everyone's eyes looked old now. "Tell them I'm coming," she said. The walk to the communication center felt longer than usual. Officers stopped talking when she passed. Some saluted, others just stared. They all wanted the same thing from her. They wanted answers. They wanted revenge. They wanted someone to tell them what to do next. Spent 40 years in the military. She had trained for wars that never came. She had planned battles that were never fought. Earth had avoided every conflict in the galaxy for 4 decades. Other species called humans peaceful. Some called them weak. Most simply ignored them. That was about to change. The communication center was filled with holographic images of the United Council members. 12 faces from 12 nations, all looking at her with the same expression. Fear mixed with anger. Hope mixed with doubt. Ambassador spoke first. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her voice was steady despite everything. "Admiral, I have returned from the Galactic Assembly with a response to our request for help." And asked, though she already knew the answer. They refused to intervene. They called the attack on 7 a local territorial dispute. The claim that system belongs to them by ancient right. The Assembly does not wish to get involved. A council member from Europe slammed his hand on his desk. 12,000 people are dead. How is that a territorial dispute? The Assembly does not see human lives the same way we do, said quietly. To them, we are newcomers. We have only been in space for 2 centuries. They have existed for 10,000 years. Our deaths do not matter to the older species. Silence filled the room. Let it stretch for a moment before speaking. "What do we know about this?" she asked. Dr. Hanmi appeared on a smaller screen. She was Earth's best, a woman who had spent 20 years studying alien cultures. Her face was pale, but her voice was clear. The Dominion controls over 200 star systems. They have conquered 11 species in their history. Their society is built entirely on strength and dominance. In their culture, diplomacy is seen as weakness. They only respect those who can hurt them. "They attacked us because we talk instead of fighting," Park asked. "Exactly. For 40 years, Earth has solved every conflict through negotiation. We gave ground. We made deals. We avoided war at all costs. To them, this means we are prey. They believe we cannot fight back." The European Council member laughed bitterly. "Then they are fools." "No," Han said. "They are predators who have never met anything they couldn't eat. They genuinely do not understand what humans are capable of. Their commander called us soft creeps playing at civilization in his last broadcast." Something cold settled in her chest. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was something older and darker. Something that humans had carried since they first picked up stones and sharpened sticks. "What are our options?" the council chairman asked. "We have 47 warships ready for deployment," said. "Our intelligence suggests they can send at least 200 vessels against us. In a direct fight, we lose." "Then what do you suggest?" Look at each face on the screens. These were politicians, diplomats, administrators. They had spent their lives avoiding exactly this moment. Now they had no choice. "I suggest we show them why humanity avoided war for so long." "And why is that?" he asked. "Because we knew what we would become if we started." The chairman leaned forward. "Admiral, the United Council of Earth hereby authorizes military response against the Dominion. You have full command of our fleet. Do whatever is necessary to protect humanity." Saluted, understood. Holograms faded, stood alone in the communication center for a long moment. Then she activated her personal communicator. "Captain Park, begin fleet mobilization. I want every ship ready to launch in 18 hours. "Yes, Admiral, where are we going?" "The Nebula, it's 3 days from space. We're going to make them come to us." She walked back to her quarters, passing more silent officers along the way. At her door, she stopped and looked out the window at Earth below. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents filled with 8 billion people who were counting on her. For 40 years, humanity had smiled at the galaxy. They had traded fairly. They had helped where they could. They had turned away from every fight. The thought that meant humans were weak. They were wrong. Studied human history her entire life. She knew what her species had done to itself before finding peace. The wars, the genocides, the weapons that could burn entire cities in seconds. Humanity had not stopped fighting because they couldn't. They stopped because they finally understood the cost. Now someone else would learn that lesson. She entered her quarters and sat at her desk. A photograph stood there showing a young woman in a graduation uniform. Her daughter Hana, who worked on a research station near Jupiter. Safe for now. She picked up the photograph and held it close. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I hoped you would never see what we can do." She set the photograph down and began planning the destruction of the fleet. The next morning, Admiral stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance. Around her, officers ran through final checks. Outside the viewports, 46 other warships waited in formation. She activated the fleet-wide communication channel. "This is Admiral Sun. 3 days ago, the Dominion murdered 12,000 of our people. They believe we are too soft to fight back. They think our peace means we have forgotten how to make war." She paused, letting her words reach every ship. "They are wrong. We remember everything. We remember how to be patient. We remember how to plan. And we remember how to be absolutely, completely ruthless when our families are threatened." Officer across the fleet stood, hands tightened on controls. "The galaxy has watched us smile for 40 years. Now they will watch us bare our teeth. Let's show the what happens when they pick a fight with the wrong species. She closed the channel and turned to Park. Take us out, Captain. Fleet moved toward the stars, and humanity went to war. Flagship Defiance cut through empty space like a knife through dark water. Captain Park Jinho sat alone in the tactical simulation room, watching his fleet die for the 32nd time. On the holographic display, 47 human ships faced 200 warships. The battle lasted 11 minutes. By the end, every human vessel was destroyed. The lost only 43 ships. Ran the simulation again with different tactics: direct assault, defensive formation, split attack patterns. The result was always the same: humanity lost. You have been here for 6 hours, a voice said behind him. Turned to find Dr. Han Mi standing in the doorway. She carried 2 cups of coffee and offered him one. Thank you, he said, taking the cup. I cannot find a way to win. Perhaps that is because you are looking for the wrong kind of victory. Park frowned. What other kind is there? And sat beside him and watched the frozen battle display. They have fought 11 wars. They won all of them the same way: overwhelming force, superior numbers, direct confrontation. They do not know any other method. That does not help us. We do not have superior numbers. No, but we have something they do not understand. Han smiled slightly. We have fought wars where both sides were equally clever. We have lost millions of people to enemies who thought just like us. They have never faced that. Park thought about this. In school, he had learned about the great human wars, nations fighting nations with similar weapons and similar tactics, each side adapting, each side learning, each side becoming more dangerous with every battle. You think we can outthink them, he said. I know we can. Look at their fleet formations. Han pointed at the ships on the display. They cluster together around their command vessels. Every ship wants to be close to the commander when victory happens. It brings honor to their families. That makes them easier to hit. Yes, and look at their communication patterns. Han pulled up another display showing intercepted signals. They use a strict hierarchy. Every order comes from the top. If the commander dies, the entire fleet freezes while they establish new leadership. Park felt something stir in his chest. Hope, maybe, or at least the beginning of a plan. They have weaknesses, he said slowly. We just need to exploit them. Now you are thinking like a human. The door opened again, and Lieutenant Du entered with 3 other pilots. They were young, all under 30, and they moved with the confidence of people who had never lost a real fight. Captain Park said with a salute, Admiral sent us. She said you might have some ideas about unconventional tactics. Park looked at the pilots. Was their leader, a man known for creative flying and dangerous maneuvers. His squadron had won every training exercise by breaking the rules in ways their opponents did not expect. How good are you in asteroid fields? Park asked. Grinned. Better than anyone alive. Good, because we are going to need pilots who can fly where they cannot follow. For the next 3 hours, Park and the pilots worked on new tactics. They designed attack patterns that used the chaos of nebula clouds. They practiced communication blackouts where squadrons would operate independently. They developed retreat signals that were actually attack signals. Everything they created broke the standard rules of space combat. That was the point. Near midnight, an alarm sounded through the ship. Park rushed to the bridge, where Admiral stood watching the sensor displays. We have a visitor, she said calmly. On the screen, a small transport ship approached the fleet. It was painted in the green and gold colors of the Collective, a species of traders known throughout the galaxy. They are requesting permission to dock, the communications officer reported. They say they have information about them. Nodded. Let them come. 20 minutes later, Park stood with in hand in a private meeting room. Across from them sat a captain named. They looked somewhat like tall, thin humans with blue-gray skin and large, dark eyes. Thank you for seeing me, he said. His voice was soft and careful. I know humans have no reason to trust strangers right now. You took a risk coming here, said. Why? It was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried old pain. 300 years ago, the conquered they killed millions of my people. Those who survived became servants in their empire, traders who carried their goods between stars. I'm sorry, Han said gently. Do not be sorry, be victorious. Lean forward. I have brought you detailed maps of fleet positions. I know where their supply lines are. I know which commanders are cautious and which are aggressive. I know everything because we have been watching them for 3 centuries, waiting for someone strong enough to challenge them. Studied them carefully, and you believe humans are that someone. I did not. When I heard about the attack on your colony, I expected you to surrender. Every other species has. But then I heard your fleet was mobilizing. I heard you were preparing to fight against impossible odds. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. Only the truly dangerous do that. Our exchange to look with. This was either a gift or a trap. Why should we trust you? He asked. Because I remember what it means to fight alone, said simply. My people tried once long ago. We had no allies. No one would help us. We lost everything. His dark eyes met Park's. I do not want to watch that happen again to another species. Even if helping you brings danger to my people, it is worth the risk. Made her decision quickly. Show us what you have. Activated a small device and holographic maps filled the room. Fleet positions. Supply depot locations. Communication relay stations. It was more intelligent than Earth had gathered in years. There is one more thing, said. They are not just sending a battle fleet. They are bringing their mobile command station. It is a ship the size of a small moon. Commander himself will be aboard. Why would they bring something so valuable? Han asked. Because they do not see this as a battle. They see it as an execution. They want the entire galaxy to watch humans die. It will be a message to every other species. Resist and this is what happens. Mark felt cold anger rising in his chest. They were not coming to fight. They were coming to put on a show. Thank you, said. Your information changes everything. I hope so. The galaxy needs to see the lose. It needs to see that they can be beat. Stood to leave, then paused at the door. One more thing, Admiral. They are laughing at you. In their communications, they call humans soft meat. They think you are nothing but prey. Expression did not change. Good, let them think that. After left, Park turned to the Admiral. We have their fleet positions. We know their command structure. We know they are overconfident. Yes, said quietly. Now we just need to make them pay for every mistake. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, 200 warships were moving toward them. They carried enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. But they had never fought humans before. Captain Park said without turning around, how do you hunt something that does not know it is being hunted? Park thought for a moment. You let it come to you. You make it feel safe. And then you strike when it is not expecting danger. Nodded. The nebula has electromagnetic storms that blind sensors, dead stars that block communications, asteroid fields that break formation apart. A perfect hunting ground. Yes. Finally turned to face him, and Park saw something in her eyes that he had never seen before, something ancient and cold and absolutely certain. We are going to destroy them, Captain, not just defeat them. We are going to make the entire galaxy understand exactly what happens when you threaten Earth. Park saluted. Yes, Admiral. The fleet continued toward the nebula, and the trap was set. The nebula stretched across space like a wound in the stars. Purple and red clouds of gas hid the remains of ancient suns. Asteroid fields flowed through the chaos like bones of dead giants. Electromagnetic storms flickered in the distance, sending waves of energy that could blind any sensor system. It was beautiful in the way that dangerous things were beautiful. Admiral Sun stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching her fleet spread through the nebula. 47 ships hiding among the debris, waiting in silence. All ships report ready, Captain Park Jin-ho said from his station. Weapons are armed, shields are at full power, communication systems are set to burst mode only. Good, now we wait. The waiting was the hardest part. Knew this from a lifetime of training. She knew that fear grew in silence. Doubt crept into quiet minds. Soldiers who waited too long started making mistakes. She kept her people busy. Fighter squadrons ran patrol patterns through the asteroid fields. Engineering teams checked every system twice. Medical officers prepared for casualties they hoped would never come. Everyone had something to do, something to focus on besides the enemy approaching from the darkness. Lieutenant Deuce's voice crackled over the communication system. Admiral, we have contact. Fleet entering the nebula. 212 ships confirmed. Felt her heart beat faster, but her voice remained calm. Distance. 4 hours at current speed. They are in standard attack formation. Let them come, maintain position and stay silent. Hours passed slowly. On the sensor displays, the fleet moved like a great beast through the nebula clouds. Their ships were larger than human vessels, covered in sharp angles and weapon platforms. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never been challenged. At the center of the formation, something massive blocked the stars. The mobile command station was 3 kilometers across, bristling with weapons and communication towers. It was ugly and terrifying and completely arrogant. They brought their headquarters to watch us die, thought. Let them watch something else instead. Broadcast filled all frequencies. Commander's voice echoed through space, speaking in the harsh tones of the language. Dr. Hanmi translated from her station. Humans of Earth, I am commander of the Dominion. You have hidden in this nebula like frightened animals. This is appropriate, for that is what you are. Surrender your fleet commander to me now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will burn your worlds to ash. You have 1 hour to decide. Activated her own communication system. Her voice was steady and cold. Commander, I am Admiral Sun. My answer is no. Then you choose extinction. I choose to show you something your species has forgotten. What it means to face an enemy who fight back. He cut the communication and turned to Park. Launch the first attack. Target their supply ships at the rear of the formation. Park relayed the order. Across the nebula, missiles that had been hidden in asteroid clusters activated. They streaked through the clouds of gas, their guidance systems locked on the Jisk's vessels. The first explosions lit up the darkness. 16 supply ships died in the opening seconds. The formation stuttered as commanders tried to understand what was happening. Missiles were coming from everywhere and nowhere. They are breaking formation, Park reported. Smaller groups are moving to investigate the launch sites. Perfect. Lieutenant, you are cleared to engage. Fighter squadron exploded from behind a dead moon. 12 small, fast ships screamed into the scattered groups. They fired their weapons and were gone before the enemy could respond, disappearing into the electromagnetic storms that blocked pursuit. More explosions, more confusion. A regrouping, Han said. Commander is ordering all ships to close formation around the command station. Smiled grimly. He's afraid. Good, press the attack. For the next 3 hours, the battle became chaos. Human ships appeared from the nebula clouds, fired everything they had, and vanished before they could bring their superior numbers to bear. Fighter squadrons struck at communication relays, blinding enemy ships from their commanders. Fought back with terrible power. Their plasma cannons turned asteroids to dust. Their missiles filled space with fire. But they were used to fighting enemies who stood still and died properly. They did not know how to fight shadows. At the 4th hour, they had lost 34 ships. Humanity had lost 12. It is working, Park said, and for the first time there was hope in his voice. We are actually winning. Not yet, said quietly. Watch their command station. On the display, the massive headquarters was moving. It pushed through its own fleet, ignoring the smaller battles, heading directly toward the center of the nebula. What are they doing? Park asked. Anne's face went pale as she analyzed the data. They are charging their main weapons. Admiral, that station carries planet-burning cannons. If they fire them into the nebula, they will burn everything inside it, including their own ships if necessary. Commander's voice filled the communication channels again. This time, Han did not need to translate. His rage was clear in every word. Enough games, humans. You think you are clever. You think your tricks will save you. I will burn this entire nebula to nothing. Every atom of gas, every piece of rock, every ship, including my own people if needed. You will die, Admiral, you and everyone who follows you. Command station's weapons began to glow. Energy built in massive chambers, ready to turn the nebula into fire. All ships emergency retreat ordered. Get out of the nebula now. The human fleet ran. They abandoned their hiding places, their ambush positions, their carefully planned traps. They fled into open space because staying meant being burned alive. Pursued, 160 ships chased 47 human vessels into the empty darkness beyond the nebula. Behind them, the command station's weapons fired, and the nebula exploded into flame. Ark watched the destruction on his display. He burned it all. He killed his own ship just to flush us out. He is angry, said. Angry people make mistakes. Admiral, we are in open space now. No cover, no places to hide. They outnumber us 4-1. Looked at her remaining ships, 35 vessels against 160. The odds were impossible. Any sane commander would surrender. But was not thinking about surrender. She was thinking about something Han had told her days ago. The cluster around their commander when victory is close. It brings honor to their families. She was thinking about Lieutenant and his squadron still alive, still waiting for orders. She was thinking about 12,000 dead colonists who deserve justice. Captain Park, she said calmly, bring the fleet to defensive formation. Make it look like we are preparing to die fighting. And what will we actually be doing? Pointed at the command station, now moving out of the burning nebula to join the pursuit. We are going to give them exactly what they want. A victory so close they can taste it. And when they are celebrating, when every ship is gathered around Commander to share in the glory. Turned to meet Park's eyes, and her expression was the coldest thing he had ever seen. We cut off the head. Outside, the fleet closed in. 160 ships against 35, with nowhere left to run. The final battle was about to begin. Admiral Sun watched the fleet surround her remaining ships. 160 warships formed a closing ring around 35 human vessels. There was nowhere to run. There was nowhere to hide. The mathematics of destruction were simple and final. Ships are slowing, Captain Park Jin-ho reported. They are gathering around the command station. Nodded just as Hannah predicted, just as she had planned. Wanted to share the glory. Every captain wanted to be close to Commander when the human fleet was destroyed. Their sensors would record the victory. Their families would see their ships in the formation. Honor would be divided among the witnesses. It made them predictable. Dr. Hanmi looked up from her station. Admiral, I have been analyzing their command structure. When the fleet coordinates complex maneuvers, the command station dropped its shields for 3 seconds to boost signal strength. 3 seconds, Park said. That is not enough time to do anything. It is enough time to reach the bridge, said quietly. Park stared at her. You want to crash a ship into their command station. Not a ship, a fighter, small enough to slip through defenses, fast enough to reach the target before they can respond. Turned to face him. It is a one-way mission, Captain. Whoever flies it will not come back. Silence filled the bridge. Every officer understood what she was asking. She was asking for a volunteer to die. Lieutenant Du's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, I heard your conversation. My squadron and I volunteer. You understand what this means? Yes, Admiral, we have been running simulations. If we time our attack during the shield drop, we have a 3% chance of reaching the bridge. He paused. That is better odds than anyone else will get today. Park pulled up the tactical display. Even if reaches the command station, there is no guarantee killing commander will stop the fleet. Other commanders might take over. Shook her head. The hierarchy does not work that way. When a supreme commander dies, there is a ritual period of mourning in succession. It can last hours. During that time, no one has authority to give orders. Hours said, that is all we need. She activated the fleet-wide channel. Her voice reached every ship, every crew member, every frightened heart waiting for her words. This is Admiral, we are about to face the final battle. They believe they have already won. They believe we are broken and helpless. They are wrong. She looked out the viewport at the enemy fleet closing in. Hundreds of weapons pointed at her ships, thousands of waiting to celebrate. We are going to give them a fight that the galaxy will never forget. Not because we want glory, not because we want revenge. We fight because 12,000 innocent people are watching from wherever the dead go. We fight because 8 billion more are waiting at home. We fight because humanity does not die quietly. Across the fleet, officers stood, hands steadied on controls. Fear did not disappear, but it found a place beside courage. All ships prepare to engage, fight hard, make every shot count. And when you see the command station shields drop, pray for Lieutenant and his squadron. She closed the channel and turned to Park. Begin the attack. The human fleet exploded into motion. 35 ships charged into 160 like wolves attacking a herd of giants. It was suicide. It was madness. It was magnificent. The Defiance shook as plasma struck its shields. Park called out damage reports while directed the battle. 2 human ships died in the first minute, then 3 more. They were everywhere, their weapons turning the darkness into fire. But the humans fought back. Destroyer named Courage rammed a cruiser twice its size, destroying both ships. A frigate called Hope flew directly into an enemy formation, firing until its reactor went critical and took 4 ships with it. We are losing too many ships, Park said through gritted teeth. I know, but look at them, pointed at the formation. They are gathering closer, they smell victory. She was right. The enemy ships were pressing inward, each captain eager to fire the shot that would end the battle. They crowded around the command station, their formations becoming tight and dangerous. Han, are their shields still up? Yes, Admiral, but they are preparing a coordinated strike. When they fire together, they will need maximum signal strength. The shields should drop in. She checked her displays. 90 seconds. Open a direct channel to, Lieutenant, are you ready? Ready, Admiral. It has been an honor serving with you. The honor is mine, Lieutenant. May your ancestors welcome you with pride. The channel closed. Somewhere in the chaos, the squadron was positioning itself for the final run. 60 seconds. More human ships died. The Defiance took a direct hit that killed everyone on Deck 7. Park was bleeding from a cut on his forehead, but he did not stop working. 40 seconds. Broadcast another message. Commander's voice was thick with satisfaction. It is over, Admiral. Your fleet is broken. Surrender now and I will let some of your people live as slaves, refuse, and everyone dies. I refuse, said simply. 20 seconds. Then watch your species end. 10 seconds. The fleet began a fire in unison. Hundreds of weapons targeted the remaining human ships. The command station's communication array powered up to coordinate the killing blow. Its shields dropped. Now screamed. While fires burst from behind a destroyed human cruiser. They flew faster than anything should fly, their engine burning beyond safe limits. Ships tried to track them, but they were too small, too fast, moving through gaps in the formation that should not have existed. One fire died, then 2, then 5. 3 made it through. Voice came over the radio, calm and steady. I see the bridge. Shields are down. I'm going in. My family, I love them. Tell them I was not afraid. The channel went silent. On the display, 3 human fires struck the command station bridge at full speed. The explosion was visible across the battlefield. For one perfect moment, everything stopped. And Commander's life sign disappeared. The fleet froze. 160 ships hung in space, their weapons still charged, their crews suddenly leaderless. They had trained for every kind of battle except this one. They had never considered that their supreme commander might die. All ships have stopped firing, Han reported, her voice shaking. No new orders are being transmitted. Their command structure has collapsed. Mark stared at the display. We did it. Did not celebrate. She looked at the wreckage of the command station, where a young pilot and his squadron had traded their lives for victory. Not yet, she said quietly. We hurt them. Now we need to finish this. She activated the fleet channel one more time. Only 18 human ships remained. They were damaged, exhausted, and running low on ammunition. But they were alive. All ships, this is Admiral, the enemy commander is dead. Their fleet is confused. We have one chance to turn the battle completely. Straightened in her chair, ignoring the pain from her own injuries. Do not let Lieutenant's sacrifice be wasted. Push forward. Show them what humanity is made of. Show them why they should never have challenged Earth. Outside, 18 human warships moved toward 160 enemies. And for the first time, they began to. 160 ships that had come to execute humanity now fled through space like frightened animals. Their formation broke apart as each captain made their own decisions, their own disparate choices. Without commander, they had no voice. Without orders, they had no purpose. Admiral Sun watched the retreat on her damaged display screen. 18 human ships chased 160 vessels. It should have been impossible. It should have been a joke. But they were not laughing anymore. Did we pursue? Captain Park Jin-ho asked. Blood had dried on his face and his uniform was torn, but his eyes were sharp. Yes, said, but not to destroy them. Herd them toward their own border. Make sure they run all the way home. Understood. The chase lasted 6 hours. Human ships put the remnants across 3 star systems, never letting them rest, never letting them regroup. When enemy ships tried to stop and fight, they were hit with precise attacks that killed just enough to keep the others running. By the time the fleet crossed into their own territory, they had lost another 23 ships, not to direct combat but to accidents, collisions, and crew members who simply gave up. Fear had broken them. When the last enemy ship disappeared beyond the border, finally allowed herself to sit down. Her legs were shaking. Her hands would not stop trembling. She had not slept in 37 hours. It is over, she said quietly. Dr. Hemi approached her chair. Admiral, Ambassador is requesting communication. She says the Galactic Assembly wants to speak with you. Now they want to talk, laughed bitterly. They ignored us when they attacked. They refused to help when we asked. Now they want to speak. The galaxy watched the entire battle. The Assembly's observation drones recorded everything. Han paused. Every species in the galaxy saw what we did today. Not slowly. That had been part of the plan, though she had not wanted to admit it even to herself. She had known the Assembly would be watching. She had known they needed to see. Open the channel, she said. Ambassador appeared on the screen. Her gray hair was loose, and her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was strong. Admiral, I am transmitting from the Galactic Assembly Chamber. Representatives from over 50 species are watching. They wish to hear from you directly. The screen shifted to show the massive assembly hall. Hundreds of alien figures sat in floating platforms, each one representing a different world, a different civilization, a different history. They had watched humanity for centuries. They had dismissed humans as peaceful, soft, and harmless. They were not dismissing them anymore. Stood from her chair and faced the screen. She thought about what to say. She thought about diplomatic words, careful phrases, the kind of language that ambassador would use. She thought about Lieutenant and his squadron, flying to their deaths with steady hands. She thought about 12,000 colonists who had done nothing wrong except live in the wrong place. She spoke plainly. I'm Admiral Son of Earth. 3 days ago the Dominion murdered innocent people. We asked for help. You refused. You called it a local dispute. You told us we were on our own. Silence in the assembly hall. Not one representative moved. So we defended ourselves. We lost good people doing it. We lost friends and family members and heroes who will never come home. But we survived. We won. And we did it alone. She leaned forward, and her voice grew hotter. Let me be clear about something. Earth avoided war for 40 years because we chose to. Not because we could not fight. Not because we were afraid. We chose peace because we knew what we were capable of. We knew what would happen if we let ourselves become what we used to be. She pointed at the screen. Now you know too. Remember this battle. Remember what 47 human ships did to 200 warships. Remember what we become when someone threatens our families. And remember that we would rather have been your friends. She cut the communication and sat back down. The bridge was silent. Every officer stared at their admiral with something between fear and worship. Admiral Park said carefully, "Was that wise?" "Probably not," smiled tiredly, "but it was honest, and honestly I am too tired to be diplomatic." The journey home took 2 weeks. Along the way, messages arrived from dozens of species. Some offered trade agreements, some offered alliances, some simply sent formal recognition of human territorial rights. The collective was the first to request an official partnership. The captain who had given them intelligence sent a personal message to Admiral. "My people lived under rule for 300 years. We forgot what hope felt like. Today you reminded us. Thank you." When the Defiance finally reached Earth orbit, crowds filled the observation stations. People watched the damaged warships come home, counting the missing vessels, mourning the dead. But they also celebrated. For the first time in human space history, an outside enemy had been defeated. Earth was safe. Humanity was respected. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would not forget. Admiral did not attend the celebration ceremonies. Instead, she took a shuttle to the surface and traveled to a small town outside of Seoul. There, she found a modest house where an elderly couple waited on the porch. Lieutenant Deuce's parents walked up the path slowly. She had rehearsed what to say 100 times. She had prepared words about sacrifice and honor and duty. When she reached the porch, all those words disappeared. "I'm sorry," she said simply. "Your son saved us all. He was the bravest person I have ever known." Mother began to cry. His father just stood there, looking at the sky, looking at the stars where his son had died. "He always wanted to fly," the old man said quietly. "Even as a child, he would stand in the backyard and watch the ships going up and dream about being among them. He flew farther than anyone said. He flew into history." He stayed with the family for 3 hours, sharing stories about their son, listening to stories about the boy he had been. When she finally left, the sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and gold. Days later, stood in the observation deck of Station Horizon, watching Earth turn below. Hammy found her there, staring at the blue and green world that had nearly been destroyed. "A message arrived from the Dominion," Han said. "Let me guess, threats?" "No," Han looked surprised. "They are requesting peace negotiations. Their new leadership wants to end the conflict." It was quiet for a long moment. Peace. It was what Earth had always wanted. It was why they had avoided war for so long. It was the dream that Lieutenant had died for. "We will accept," he said finally. "Just like that?" "We proved our point. The galaxy knows what we are capable of. They know what we are capable of. There is no need for more killing." And nodded slowly. "I oppose that is what separates us from species like the we can choose to stop." Yes, turned to face her friend. "That is exactly what makes us human. We fight when we must. We kill when we have no choice, but we never enjoy it. And we always look for a way back to peace." Outside the window, ships moved through space, carrying supplies and messages and hope. The galaxy was watching humanity now, really watching for the first time. They had seen what Earth could do in war. Now they would see what Earth could do in peace. Allowed herself a small smile. "I thought we avoided war because we were afraid," she said to the stars. "They thought we were weak." She turned and walked back toward her duties, her responsibilities, her endless work of protecting her species. Now they know better. Behind her, Earth continued to turn, beautiful and blue and absolutely, completely unafraid.